Come on in. I'm Dr. Frita, and today we're talking celebrity health news again, and I'm giving you the hot health topics in the headlines. Today, listen, we have quite an array of topics to talk about. We're starting off talking about the Real Housewives of Atlanta's Angela Oakley, because in the reunion, she shared that she might be going through perimenopause, and the staff was very supportive. But I know that Angie Oakley is not alone. She always had her fan. Apparently, she has a fan line coming out. So we'll talk about what perimenopause is, what menopause is, the age to expect it, the symptoms, and the treatments. And then we'll talk about quite a tragic accident that really could happen. It could happen to you. I pray it doesn't. A man walked into an MRI setting with a heavy metal chain, and he was dragged into the MRI machine and actually lost his life. Yes, when you get all of these rules, when you're getting imaging done, CTs, MRIs, those rules are there for a reason. And the question is, was he really told not to go in there? What happened? Either way, unfortunately, this man lost his life because he walked into an MRI area and was snatched into the machine, lost his life. So we'll talk about MRIs, what makes them dangerous, and the absolute do's and don'ts when going in to get an MRI. Lastly, we'll talk about basketball wives. Oh my gosh. Y'all know Jackie Christie. She is infamous, lover or not lover. You know who she is. Well, she and her daughter, Chantel, got into a bit of an altercation. Okay. They were having a discussion, dispute, argument, and it ended up in a fight. And Jackie apparently punched her daughter in the face. What takes you there? Well, we'll talk about fight or flight, okay? We'll talk about the science behind what happens before you have a fight, and should you flight, or should you freeze, or should you fawn? And so I'll give you the science, the chemical reaction that causes you to make decisions, sometimes not so rational. All right, so please go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a punch of that notification bell, because I'm Dr. Frita, and I'm always giving you evidence-based medical information. I take the headlines, I bring them to you in a way that will help you and your loved ones to live your healthiest, happiest lives. All right, let's get started with RHOA. Listen, any of y'all who've been watching me, you know I live in the Atlanta area, and yes, I am an RHO fan, and I love me some Angela Oakley. She got clowned the whole season. Well, I won't say clown, but people messed with her the whole season because she was always hot, always had her fan. Okay, where them fans at? Well, during the reunion, she shared that she does believe that she could be going through perimenopause. And I say perimenopause because there's a difference between perimenopause and actual menopause.
Sherma from Trinidad said, Angela, have you checked with your doctor lately that your hotness is not only because of your physical appearance, but possible perimenopause?
Yeah, I think I am perimenopausal.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
But that's not an age thing. You can start perimenopause
At
early.
36.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, I have fans, and we're starting the Fangy line.
Okay.
I love it.
So what is perimenopause? Perimenopause is that transition before you actually go into menopause. So menopause is when you actually stop making estrogen, you stop ovulating, meaning you stop putting eggs out, okay, when you are a female or born female. So when you actually stop. But perimenopause, those are the years before you actually completely go into menopause, and that's when you really start having these symptoms. So for perimenopause, usually, it can vary. It typically lasts about 4 years, but it can last up to 8 or even 10 years. Okay. And all of this I'm talking about is that transition into actually going into menopause. Here's what's happening. When you're in perimenopause, your ovaries are making less estrogen. Okay. And that affects the progesterone that you're making. And so you have hormonal changes that will cause your body to react both mentally and physically. You have reactions during perimenopause. So some of the symptoms of perimenopause include hot flashes. Okay. You can also have irregular periods. They can last longer than normal. They can last shorter than normal. They can be spotty. They can be painful. You can have an extreme PMS, okay, cramping and all kinds of symptoms more than you ever had before. You can also have urinary symptoms. A lot of people don't know that. You can get bladder incontinence or start, not quite making it to the restroom and urinating on yourself. Yes, that can be related to perimenopause, okay, having urinary incontinence. You can also get vaginal drying and painful sex. As your hormones are changing, the vagina dries, it can get thin, and might not feel like doing all the things you used to do. But don't worry, there are treatments for that, and we'll get into it, okay? So you can still have your love life in perimenopause, okay? Don't play. All right, some other things that can happen. Irritability, anxiety, depression. You can lash out, okay? You can lash out at someone. For example, if you're going through perimenopause and you're in an argument with your daughter, hey, you might be irritable and have anxiety that makes you be less rational than normal. And it could be related to hormone changes. Not always, but it is a possibility. So those are the symptoms. So at what age do you go through menopause or perimenopause? It typically ranges from the mid-30s. Yes, it can start as early as the mid-30s and still be considered normal, all the way through the mid-50s as far as the range of when most people will start perimenopause. Now, so I know some people, if they have symptoms in their 30s, they're thinking, oh my gosh, this is early menopause. It's premature menopause. No, if you're just going through the symptoms of menopause in the 30s, that's still considered to be within normal range. What is considered to be abnormal if you have completed menopause by the age of 40. Okay. If you have completely gone through menopause before the age of 40, then it's considered to be premature menopause. So what is it when you have menopause? What's that definition? It's when you have had no menstrual cycle, okay? No period for 12 consecutive months. All right. So if you've missed your period for 3 months and then boop, now you're getting periods, but then there's another 4 months later. No, the time clock starts over. It needs to be 12 consecutive back-to-back months of no menstrual cycle. And then you're considered to have completed menopause. Okay. And then you're postmenopausal. Okay. We'll talk about that. Now, if you have premature menopause, it can be due sometimes to like medications or to procedures. For example, say you're someone who's had lots of ovarian cysts and you had to have surgery to remove your ovaries. Well, that can certainly send you into being in a menopausal state. Also, if you're taking certain medications that suppress your hormones and cause you to start having hot flashes and low estrogen, low progesterone, that can send you into a menopausal state. If you have a total hysterectomy and bilateral oophorectomy. When I say bilateral oophorectomy, I mean bilateral. Both sides of your ovaries have been removed. Oophorectomy, bilateral oophorectomy. That will send you into menopause. So if that's done before the age of 40, it's considered premature menopause. Now, if you go into menopause before the age of 40 and you had no surgery, no reason that you're aware of, it's just something that happened, well, then that's called primary ovarian insufficiency, okay? But certainly with Angela Oakley being in her mid-40s, and yes, she took her birth certificate because y'all been trying her. Y'all been saying that woman looked like she in her 50s, but she was 43, during filming, and I think she's 44 now. Either way, she proved her age. And so if she's having perimenopausal symptoms, it's not a disorder, it's not abnormal, it's a natural transition that happens to all women. So menopause is not a disease, okay? It's just a natural transition from being fertile, having proper estrogen and progesterone levels in order to, have your cycles, be fertile. It's that transition into when you no longer are making the estrogen, and it's an end of fertility. But honey, it's the beginning of a whole new life of freedom and wisdom. Now, how do you diagnose menopause and perimenopause? So a history and physical from your doctor can help to diagnose it. Knowing the symptoms that we just went over, you don't necessarily have to have an official blood test or diagnosis if you're having the symptoms and if the age is, appropriate. But there are certain tests. One is an FSH, or follicle stimulating hormone. If you get that blood work done, and if it's really high, that could mean that you're going through perimenopause. But remember, hormones fluctuate, and so it's not 100%. There's some other tests as well. There's something called a Dutch, DUTCH, and that's a dried urine test, comprehensive hormones. And it tests different sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol. And sometimes that will give your healthcare provider more information in case you want to do treatments that will lead to hormone replacement, which takes us into the treatments. So we talked about the symptoms. We talked about the age that's of menopause. We talked about premature menopause, primary ovarian insufficiency. Now we talked about diagnosis. Let's talk about treatments. And so there are certainly medications, okay? Some antidepressants can help. Some certain things like gabapentin, some nerve medications can help with hot flashes. Even certain blood pressure medicines can help with hot flashes. So consult with your doctor. Definitely consult with your doctor. There are some natural remedies, some holistic remedies. So, see if your doctor is open to holistic treatment. So talk about that as well. And pellets, even testosterone pellets, estrogen replacement, progesterone replacement. Then lifestyle can help as well. Eating a diet that's high in fiber, fruits, vegetables, exercising, weight-bearing exercises, meditation. There's all kinds of treatments. Consult with your doctor. And again, perimenopause, menopause, these are not diseases. These are not disorders. These are natural transitions in life. One more thing, I do want to talk about the triggers. Okay, there's some triggers. So definitely if it's already hot outside, you can get hotter. Okay, that can trigger hot flashes. Eating spicy foods. Okay, if y'all are in the South and y'all like to have y'all Tabasco sauce and y'all got hot sauce in my bag swag like Beyonce, honey, sometimes having hot foods, cayenne pepper can trigger hot flashes. Oh, guess what else? For those of you who like to be smooth in your clothes and you put on your girdles and your Spanx and you like to, honey, wearing girdles and tight clothing can sometimes trigger hot flashes. And so figure that out, talk with your doctor, pay attention, learn your triggers, and certainly try to avoid them if you don't feel like having hot flashes in public. But I do appreciate Angela Oakley of the Real Housewives of Atlanta for sharing that she does believe she's going through perimenopause. I hope that her sharing her story helps other people to understand it's normal, it's natural, it's a transition. And she did say that she has a fan line coming out. I think she calls them fans. Anyway, check her out. All right. So make sure, please give us a like. I'm giving y'all evidence-based information, and make sure you share this with someone you care about. And go ahead and put in the chat if you have gone through perimenopause, if you're going through it. Tell me your age. You or someone you know, what age do they start going through perimenopause, and what are some of the symptoms, and what do you do to relieve your symptoms? Or do you just let it flow? Just let it flow, let it go, sweat, tell people off, be irritable, do all the things. But please share in the comments. All right. So y'all, please click that like button. All right, so let's move to our next story. This one is quite sad for me because, of course, being a physician, I order MRIs for my patients, especially when I was training and doing pediatrics. I would go into the MRI area where the MRI machine was. And so I always understood the precautions and the heaviness and the potential dangerousness of going into the MRI machine area if you didn't have the proper precautions. And so like at Georgetown, especially, I would go there. Oh, and for those of you who are new to me, I am Dr. Frita. I'm an MD or medical doctor. I have been quadruple board certified. I'm a board certified nephrologist, meaning I'm a board certified kidney doctor and high blood pressure doctor. I have also been board certified in internal medicine, pediatrics, and obesity medicine. So I love to talk about a lot, as you can see. And if you want to talk with me one-on-one, please click the link in the description. And I offer a telehealth concierge service. So we can have a consultation one-on-one from anywhere in the world. I'm telling you, I'm having so much fun doing that and really helping a lot of people. Also, you can always go to my one-stop shop, dr.frita.com, for all things Dr. Frita, including learning about how to get my book, Under Pressure, A Guide to Control High Blood Pressure, learning my favorite things like my favorite blood pressure cuffs, my favorite juicer, all of that. All right. So there was a man who went into an MRI machine, got snatched into the machine because he was wearing a metal necklace, and he is no longer alive. Okay, he passed away in the MRI machine. Here's what happened reportedly. His wife, was getting an MRI, and apparently she called for help. So he did what most husbands would do. He went in there. The problem is he was wearing a heavy metal necklace. Reportedly, it was like 20 pounds. Apparently, he used it for weightlifting. I'm not sure, but a heavy metal necklace. And it spun him. He got snatched into the machine. And reportedly, he had several heart attacks. And he is not alive. Okay. He passed away from wearing metal into the MRI machine.
Well, tonight, new details from the family of the man who died when he was pulled into an MRI machine on Long Island.
And as Fox 5 Judge Goldberg tells us, the family story conflicts with what Nassau County Police say happened.
A cry for help on GoFundMe after a woman says it was her husband, Keith McAllister, who was sucked into an MRI machine last week at Nassau Open MRI as he tried to help her off the table. According to the fundraising page, the technician, quote, forgot to inform him to take the chain he was wearing from around his neck off when the magnet sucked him in. The family now saying the 61-year-old suffered several heart attacks and died following the tragic accident. We reached out to them for an interview and haven't heard back. The Nassau County Police Department tells Fox 5 McAllister walked in against the technician's discretion. But in an interview with News 12 Long Island, his wife says the technician allowed him in the room despite the fact that he was wearing a 20-pound chain that she says he used for weight training.
I yelled out Keith's name, Keith, come help me up, come help me up. In that instant, the machine switched him around, pulled him in, and he hit the MRI.
We reached out to Nassau Open MRI when it first happened, and then again today, and we're being told no comment.
So there's a lot of things to unpack with this, because number one, there are MRI technicians there, and it is their responsibility to protect that room, let you know when you can or cannot go in there, to let you know the different objects, the do's and the don'ts. And so right now, that's going to be up for discussion. Was he stopped? Did someone try to stop him? Did he go in there under free will? Or did he not know? Was he not properly educated? And was he not told not to go in there? They will hash that out. But for our purposes, and for our using this headline in order to be healthier and more knowledgeable ourselves, let's just break down the MRI machine, what it does, and the precautions. And especially for those of you who are caretakers of people who don't necessarily make their own decisions, and I want you to really listen, because I need you to ask and know the questions on if your loved one has something in their body like metal that will keep them from being safe in the MRI machine. So make sure you pay attention. If you don't know, find out. Okay. So the MRI, magnetic resonance imaging machine, it's really great. You know, it helps us to see soft tissue. I definitely get MRIs of kidneys when I'm looking for kidney cancer. You know, MRIs of the brain help. MRIs of the different organs. They just really help us. It's a very, very specific imaging that has been a lifesaver. The thing is, it has magnets, okay? Magnetic resonance imaging. And these magnets are stronger than the typical magnet that you pop on your refrigerator, right? Or on the side of your car. And what happens is, if you go into an MRI area and you have on metal, in his case, which was extreme, it can swing you into the machine and make you not lose your life. But even if you have metal in your body, it can cause an issue, okay? So if you have a metal device that's in your body, it can cause it to shift. Okay. And so if you have some type of a metal implant that's there and it shifts, that can really affect your life and even take your life. Okay. Like a pacemaker. Okay. Or a defibrillator, an AICD. Also, it can cause a heating up of the metal. Okay. So it can cause you to have internal burns if you're in the MRI and you have metal and you forgot that you had it. Okay. So it's very important. So here are some things that if you have these, or if a loved one you're caretaking has these things, then it's a contraindication for them to go into the MRI machine, meaning they absolutely cannot, unless in some cases you organize and you have someone there to, you know, who's able to do preventive measures. And I'll talk to you about that. Okay. So, and y'all give us a like, okay, and get a pen, because it's going to be a good list. Number one, if you have a pacemaker, or if a loved one has a pacemaker, the MRI can affect how the pacemaker is working. Okay, so it will no longer save your life if it's not working. And again, it can also shift it or even cause a burn from that metal. Now, if you get a hold of your cardiologist, specifically the pacemaker cardiologist or electrophysiologist, there are sometimes workarounds. Okay, but if you haven't done that, boom, stay out of the MRI machine. But certainly let the MRI technician know. Also, if you have the AICD or a defibrillator, okay, so if you've had really severe heart failure or abnormal heart rhythms and you have that implantable device, let the MRI technician know, because you can't go in there unless certain precautions are made in some cases. If you have knee replacements, if you have metal bars, if you've had broken bones, then that's a contraindication. Okay, you shouldn't be going in the MRI machine. Either way, let the MRI technician know in case there's a workaround. Also, if you if you've had a gunshot wound, if you've had a pow wound and you've got the bullet left in your body. I was talking to a new patient last week, and he was telling me how, you know, when he was young, he was living a life. Anyway, he had gotten, you know, pow. And so he had that. I was like, oh my goodness. And he was telling me the surgery that he had. And I was like, oh gosh, where were the bullets? You know, how did they remove them? He said, the bullet's still in me, right by my spine. I said, what? So it would be very important for him to let the MRI technician know, because he could go in that MRI and that bullet could shift and actually be in his spine and paralyze him. You get where I'm going with this? It's very important. Here's something else that most people don't think of. If you've ever been in some type of accident where there's been metal like that's been in your face and it's in the skin, and it wasn't life threatening, so no one ever removed it, but it's deeply embedded. Well, please, you have to remember that and let the MRI technician know, because that metal could come up out of your face. And so that's something that could be a contraindication. Also, if you're someone who's been hearing impaired and you got a cochlear implant, like an implant to help you to hear better, there's metal there. Okay. You should not be going into an MRI. Certain dental procedures, if you have metal in your mouth. Okay. So I hope this gets you to really, really thinking. And let me know if you're someone and you know that you're not supposed to be having an MRI, and you have to always remember to put in there what you have in your body. Do you have a cochlear implant? Do you have a pacemaker? Or tell me some of the workarounds that have happened. Either way, very sorry. Praying for the family of Keith McAllister. So sorry that this happened, this tragic accident that, of course, I just hope that we can prevent this from happening to anyone else. Okay. So beware of MRIs, because they save lives, but clearly they can take lives as well. All right. So y'all, please, have y'all clicked that like button? Make sure you click that like button and give us a subscribe. Right here on the YouTube channel, Dr. Frita, we have over 880,000 subscribers. I'm very proud of that. I'm very appreciative of you. So help us to march toward 900,000, por favor, and then 1 million. That's where we're going. That's where we're headed. All right. Now, for the last celebrity health news story of the day, this one brings me no joy at all. None of these brought me joy, actually, except for the Angela Oakley one, because that's not a disorder. That's just information that she shared. But yeah, for this last one, raise your hand if you watch Basketball Wives. Just put it in the chat, Basketball Wives. If you've been watching it, if you're a day one and you watched it back when Jackie Christie first came on there with all of her antics. Well, now she and her daughter Chantel had a very unfortunate scene where they were having an argument, okay, just having an argument, a discussion. There was cursing back and forth on both sides, okay, and ultimately it led to a physical altercation, and Jackie punched her daughter in the face.
I wanted to give you an opportunity to clean your name up. If this how you want to
clear my name,
Chantel, listen. If this how you,
I need to clear my name up.
Girl, stop.
Do you hear yourself?
Stop.
I need to clear my name.
I'm gonna say this.
Please say it.
I
and
love
record
you.
it while you're at it. So you can run it back to Dad and Douglas and continue to lie to them and tell them that what happened didn't happen.
Shenny.
So that when they see this, they see you for the violent individual that you are.
Stop.
No, I'm not going to stop. And I'm not going to let up. And I'm going to
guess what I want you to do.
Every single time. I have zero respect for you.
I want you to get up and leave my room.
Zero respect.
Get up and leave my room.
Zero respect
for you. Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You look very cute.
Thank you for wasting my time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, girl.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night, girl.
Bye-bye.
You have a good night, girl.
Good night, sweetie. Good night.
Be well.
Good night. I will. That's a much better exit.
You right.
Good night.
You right. And
I
you
love
think
you.
you look better?
Bye-bye.
Do you think you look better? Do you think that you fixed the situation? Because you're sitting here looking stupid.
I don't.
Look how you look as a mother, Jackie.
If you don't
look how you look as a mother.
Get out of my room.
Don't touch me.
I will
don't.
Bitch, I'll knock you out. Let me go. Let me go. Let me go. Bitch, let me go. No, you guys have to
put your hands on me.
Let me go.
That's the end of it. That's the end of it. That's the end of it. You put your hands on me.
I'm going in my room.
Call Dad. Get him on the line, Jackie. Call Dad.
Now, when things like this happen, we know that there's something called fight or flight, right? So let's talk about, let's take this, and we're not going to keep it salacious. We're not going to be gossipy about it. Let's talk about the science of it. What kind of a fight or flight situation can take you to the point that it would actually even cause a mother and a daughter to get into a physical altercation? So what is fight or flight? So it's a response, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And it's your body's physical reaction to stress or to perceived stress, okay? So when there's a danger or perceived danger around, your amygdala goes off, okay? That's your threat detector. And then you have certain stress hormones that will go off, okay? You've got adrenaline, you've got cortisol. And with this reaction and with the threat of danger, you will either fight, like Jackie Christie did, unfortunately, or flight, you'll run away to safety, you'll freeze, okay? And the thought is, like, evolutionarily, that maybe sometimes freezing would keep a prey from being seen by its predator, okay? So like if a cat freezes, maybe it'll think the dog can't see it. But usually those cats will hit flight, honey. Fight or flight, they'll flight. Okay, but all of these things are reactions. Or fawn, which is a newer one that was added. And that's when you kind of try to reconcile and you try to de-escalate the situation. Okay, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So here's what happens. When these hormones are released in a fight or flight situation, a stressful situation, like clearly what happened between Jackie Christie and Chantel, her daughter, her adult daughter, you get the following symptoms: a fast heart rate, a high blood pressure. This helps your blood flow, oxygen flow to get to your muscles to help you, whether you're going to fight or run, fight or flight. Either way, you're going to need good blood flow to your muscles, right? Okay, so fast heart rate and high blood pressure. You also will get rapid breathing, okay? Really rapid breathing. Why? This increases oxygen delivery to your tissues, okay? So whether you fight, you need good oxygen delivery to the tissues, or if you're going to run far down past the sun, you still are going to need good oxygen, right? The other things that can happen, you will have all kinds of hormones going around. Your face might get flushed or red. You might feel sweaty, okay? The sweat or diaphoresis will help to cool you down, whether you're fighting or running. So you might get sweating. Also, you're not hungry, okay? Your GI system, your gastrointestinal system will slow down, okay? You're not hungry in the midst of it. You can also get goosebumps, okay, in the stress response when you're in fight or flight. And here's another one. I know y'all have probably experienced this one. A blunted sensitivity to pain. Okay, you might be in a fight, going for it. You might be getting punched, scratched, everything else, and you might not even notice it until you calm down. Or if you've ever been in a car accident, you know, people, the officers and the ambulance, do you need to go to the hospital? Do you need to go to the hospital? No, I feel fine. I feel fine. And you might feel fine. And it might not be until you get home that you're like, oh, shoot, my neck hurts. My back hurts. That's because you're still in a fight or flight adrenaline situation there. And you have emotional flooding, meaning there's so many hormones going on, causing different reactions in your emotions that it's really hard sometimes to even be rational, okay? Which can sometimes lead to a mother-daughter having a fight, because you can't tell me that's rational. But anyway, all right. So these are some things that happen with fight or flight, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. The important thing is that if you're someone who is in a constant state of danger or fear or perceived fear, you definitely want to consult with your doctor, because chronic stress can definitely lead to chronic issues like high blood pressure. And we know high blood pressure is a leading cause of many things, heart disease, strokes, and it's the number 2 reason that I see patients in the dialysis unit. It can also worsen your chance for ulcers, for poor immune system. And so you definitely want to deal with that stress. But that's just a little bit of the science behind fight or flight. I'm going to stay tuned. I hope that relationship is not ruined, you know, with Jackie Christie and her daughter, Chantel. And I'm really sorry that it had to come out in TV. And I want you to put in the comments, do you think Jackie was wrong? You know, they were cursing back and forth. The daughter was cursing her mama out. She was. Do you think that in and of itself, even though they're both adults, justifies Jackie punching her daughter? Do you think the daughter started it? I'm curious to see. Put in the chat what you think. Or have you been in a situation? Okay. Y'all, why is my dog barking? My dog must be in fight or flight. Anyway, so that's it, y'all. Make sure you go ahead and give us a like. This has been Celebrity Health News and Hot Health Topics in the Headlines with me, Dr. Frita. You can also check me out for a full hour of celebrity health news and topics. I'm on every Monday at noon Eastern. Standard Time. All right. Thank you. I appreciate y'all for the support, and I will see you next time.